afternoon, everybody. Today we're looking at section 5.9, which is on writing polynomial functions if you are either looking at a graph or you are looking at actual ordered pair intercepts. I'm going to show you two methods on how to do these, and then we'll practice one of them that's actually in your book. First form we're going to look at is the factored form. We're going to use this entire form the whole time, so that's the easy one to remember. We don't have to remember all three of the forms. We've got f of x equals a times x minus p, x minus q, x minus r. So this represents the fact that we've got three ordered pairs. P, Q, and R would be the spots where it actually crosses the axis. And if you look at my graph, you can see the dots that I've got here, the three red dots on the x-axis, representing the three ordered pairs. When we're looking at this graph, we're going to use those intercepts, and we're also going to use the y-intercept, this point way up here, 0, 6, as another point in our graph. So the first thing we're going to do is plug the points from the intercepts into the graph. So the points that we're using are at -2, -1, and 1. And you need to remember that when you plug those intercepts in to the factored form, x minus p minus q minus r, you need to remember to put it in with the opposite sign of what you've got. So if I'm putting in -2, when I put x minus -2 becomes plus plus x plus 2. X minus q, we're putting in a -1 this time, so again minus minus is x plus 1. And then x minus r, we're on this third ordered pair, is +1. We're putting in the minus, the opposite, so it's x minus 1. All right, so that's the first part. We've got y equals a, x plus p, or 2, x plus 1, x minus 1. Next up is to plug in the random point. The random point that we've got for this one is actually way up here, the y-intercept. That y-intercept is 0, 6. So in place of all of the x's in the equation, we're going to put the number 0, and in place of the y term, we're going to put in the number 6. 6 equals a, 0 plus 2, 0 plus 1, 0 minus 1. And then we're going to clean this up. 6 equals a times 2 times 1 times -1. 6 equals -2a, and a is -3. Okay, so there was solve for a, -3. And then we just have to write the answer in expanded form. Now, most times in your book, they're just going to ask you to write it in factored form, which is just fine. So we're just going to do factored form. Y equals, we're going to plug in this a number that we just got, -3 quantity, and then we had x plus 2, x plus 1, x minus 1. Done. There's your answer for this equation given the 3 x-intercepts and 1 random point. Now, if we don't have a graph to look at, but they actually give us the ordered pairs, we're going to make sure we get the right ordered pairs, not mixed up with the random point. Your x-intercepts will always be the ones that have the 0 in the y position. So these 3 points up here are the x-intercepts. This number in the back will represent random point. This may or may not be a y-intercept. It may just be any other random point someplace on the curve. So again, first we're going to identify the intercepts and use those. Y equals a, remember to put them in the opposite form. So instead of -4, we're going to put it in as x plus 4. Instead of +2, it goes in as x negative 2. And then the next one is 5, x minus 5. Next up, we identify the random point. We're going to put that in. Our random point is 0, 10. Our 0 is the x value, 10 is the y value. 10 equals a times, now replace every single x with our 0. 0 plus 4, 0 minus 2, 0 minus 5. And clean this up. 10 equals a times 4 times -2 times -5. Keep going with your cleaning. This is -8 times -5 is 40. And a equals, be very careful here, You've got 10 divided by 40. Don't put 4. You've got 1/4. So there's your solving for A is 1/4. And now we write our model. Y equals, what did we just get for A? 1/4. X plus 4, x minus 2, x minus 5. There's your equation. And again, I'm not going to ask you to expand these. You can just leave them in its factored form. Now this last one we're going to do is actually from your homework. This is number 6. So if you want to put it on pause, work it yourself, get all the way down to the end and see if you match up with what we have. And then we'll talk about this one tomorrow in class as well. Here are your 3 intercepts, so we'll plug them in into our form. Y equals A, x plus 3, x minus 0 is just going to stay x, and x minus 4. Random point representing x and y. Y is 10. X is -1, so we've got -1 plus 3, -1, -1 minus 4. Cleaning this up, A, 2, -1, -5. Here's -2 times -5 is 10. So 10 equals 10A. A is 1. It's always nice if you get a fraction, or if you don't get a fraction. It doesn't happen all the time. This one is nice because we got just a plain 1 right there. Okay, so our equation in its final form will be y equals A, which was 1, and then your equation, x plus 3, x, and x minus 4. Okay, so that's it for writing equations if you've been given intercepts and a random point, and plugging them back in and coming up with your factored form for your equation. And as I mentioned, we'll talk about this in class tomorrow as well.